a sample of what the Isle of Arran has to offer.
Good morning and welcome to part 2 of this beautiful island of Arran. It's 5:30 in the morning and I've been doing some editing and I'm on my second mug of tea. And I got up this early because I went to bed too early. And if I go to bed too early, I wake up too early. So here we are. But before we get into this part 2, I had a phone call last evening from my daughter and her husband Jem, who were with me when I sailed my boat from Bangor in Northern Ireland up, and we anchored in Lamlash Bay and went ashore, or Jem and I went ashore in the little inflatable dinghy and had a drink or two in the Pierhead Inn. And he reminded me of something which I hadn't mentioned about that trip ashore. First of all, when we got into the pub, we were the only ones there, and we said, what time do you close? And they said, when you leave. That was the first thing. I insisted that Jem try some of the good Scottish whiskies, and I don't know how many we had, but maybe one too many, because when we got in the dinghy to go back to the boat, we were paddling. I didn't have the outboard with me. We were paddling and we couldn't find the boat. We didn't know where we'd anchored it, and all the lights were off, and there were other boats around, so you couldn't tell which anchor light was ours. But anyway, we found it in the end, obviously, but he rang and reminded me of that. So anyway, now we'll get into looking around some more.
Part 2. Okay, well, we've left that camping spot now. Stopped at the co-op in Lamlash. Done a bit of recording by Pierhead Tavern, and now we're off to the campsite where we're going to stay 2 nights and get everything charged up, because everything I run right the way down on power with my battery pack, well, my power pack, Mandy's power pack, everything, you know, all flat, because of all the editing. Get everything charged up and toilet tank emptied, top up with water, and we're going to have a little tour around this afternoon, and then tomorrow we'll see what the weather's like and decide then. The campsite that we're going to is on the south coast of the island. Well, certainly a very pleasant drive along here. We've been down right by the sea, and now we're climbing up into the hills again. Some tight bends around here as well. Oh well, can't be much further. There's the little community down there, which is obviously where the campsite is somewhere. Here we go. Seal Shore Camping. And we go. Hello.
Well, the weather is not very nice this morning. And yesterday we did a load of washing. Mandy hung it up, most of it on the lines or the rack in the washing room, but it was too late to find anybody to pay for the dryer, the tumble dryer. And I went over to have my shower at 6 o'clock this morning, and the washing was still wet. So I brought it into the van and I put the electric heater on, and the inside of my van looks more like a Chinese laundry at the moment. Even the little doggy's pyjamas are hanging up there. I've got stuff hanging every convenient, every possible place. And with the heater on full blast, the humidity in here is going up fast. I'm going to have to open some windows soon, but it's not very nice outside. It's cold and it's windy. Anyway, hopefully they'll be dry soon. We've had a very lazy day today. Just a day off, and I was sitting down here just outside Mandy's little Roma home, and she's gone off to get some ice cream. She's back
Treats.
with 2 tubs of Arran ice cream, toffee fudge. Oh, that's going to be nice. Go on then, what's it like?
This is lovely.
Good one?
Toffee fudge, made on the island, supplied in the local shop. It's beautiful, very creamy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no doggy ice cream. I've asked them if they could stock it for next time.
Okay.
Then later that day,
And after the ice cream, we sit here looking out across the grey sea. But look, we have a little bit of blue sky. Mandy, you're blocking the blue sky. Where is it? Oh, I think I found it there. Yeah, but there's rain coming.
There's enough blue sky to make a leprechaun's waistcoat. That's plenty. That's all you need.
Right, anyway, we're going to have a drink now. Say cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Vodka Mac. Lovely. While we're sitting here outside Mandy's little Rosalie, we look across at this little island out there called Plada. It's got an automated lighthouse on it, and it's privately owned, and it last changed hands in 2022. £350,000 it sold for. And you've probably gathered by now that I'm fascinated by Ailsa Craig, and I don't know whether it can show on the video, but there's some lighter patches of it every time the sun breaks through a little bit, and they are actually bird droppings. And Ailsa Craig is just over 1,000 feet high, about 340 meters high, and it's the plug of an old volcano.
and it has a nickname, Paddy's Milestone.
Wonderful bit of nature's sculpture. Well, I'm having to do this video now before it gets too dark to see properly, but over there you see that line in the water, and it's the tide coming in from both sides, from that side of the island and that side of the island, and meeting. And yesterday we saw the beginning of a small standing wave there, and we might get one later on. Oh, Mandy's chopping or slicing onions for our hot dogs this evening, which means that she's getting in the way the sea. I just wanted to mention that the rise and fall of tide here in the Clyde, Firth of Clyde, can be up to 5 metres, or just under 5 metres. About, or less than half what it is in Cardiff and around that area. I can't remember whether I said burgers or hot dogs, but whichever said it, it's hot dogs. And she's boiling up the onions ready for them now, with a drink of course. The weather was turning a bit chilly, so we've come back up to Gwendolyn for dessert, and for that we're having strawberries and cream, aren't we?
Yeah, that's not a bad follow-on from hot dogs, is it?
We're off on a little afternoon excursion with Mandy driving Rosalie, and I'm passenger. So we're doing a round circular route, the last part of which will be a repeat of where we came this morning, but our first stop is going to be either the Lag Inn or the Lag Distillery. I wonder which. Oh, that's a nice way to advertise a farm, isn't it? That cow is painted on a rock. How lovely.
Marvellous.
Got an old schoolhouse there, dated 1934. Yeah. And there's a sign that says try your brakes. So this is going to be a steep one, Mandy.
Okay, first gear then. Brakes work.
Reminds me of Porlock Hill.
Interesting, there's another little cairn that
Yeah.
way. I suppose you have to park further up the hill, you can't park outside their houses.
Really?
Yeah, that wasn't too bad at all.
No, it wasn't, but it was steep but not very long.
This is pretty.
Yeah. Very nice.
Oh, I can see a pub.
Yeah, and it's the Lag. It is the Lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we could park there, look, right in front. And this is the Lag Inn, 1791. And we're going to go inside, see if we can have a sandwich or something. Well, certainly a lovely, interesting setting. I do. Well, after the not big, but after the breakfast that we had, and we're going to have chicken tonight. We didn't want a big meal now, and it didn't appear that they did any light snacks. So we're moving on, looking for a cafe, but before that we're going to be finding the Lag Distillery, which is 3 minutes away from here. Well, here's the Lag Distillery. Quite a large affair by the look of it. Visitor parking over there, one way only. Well, we're going to go in, but we're not going to do the tour. I've been down so many whisky distilleries in the past, but this is a big affair here. And over there, there's four great big sheds, obviously where they store the barrels. I like that. There's a little stand here where you can clip your phone in there, and then get yourself a selfie in front of the big sign. That's good. I'll do it this way. We've got quite a good looking menu, but because of the amount we want to eat, we've both gone for the soup of the day, which is, what did you think it was, Mandy?
It's sweet potato and chilli with bakehouse bread. Should be nice.
That sounds good. Thank you. Well, there's the stew, and the stew very tasty. Very tasty. Nice bit of nice slices of bread there. You like it?
It's lovely.
Well, after the soup, we're having a look at the whiskies. This is the shop. And that's what they call the Lager exclusive. And that's priced from £20 or £30 up to £70 for a full bottle. And that's pretty damned expensive. Here are the little samplers. I think we'll just take one of those because I really don't know what this was going to taste like. So let's see what they've got. And there the price is. And it doesn't look as if they've got that exclusive down there. And here you can have one of their bottles which are down there. And then you have a special measuring jug, whole thing, which I'll show you in a minute. You fill your own, and depending on how much you want to buy, you get different sized measures. And they're marked, and if you go over the mark, they have to pull some back, otherwise they're in trouble with customs excise. From all these tiny little glass bottles, 5 centilitres I think they are, we've chosen these two. That one's for me, and that one's for Mandy. I believe this one is more smoky, I don't know. We're going to find out this evening. I think we must be about halfway across the island now. From the flat area on the other side, on the western side. It's getting a little hillier towards the east. Hang on a minute. We think that is a golden eagle up there. When we came down the corner, he was sitting on this post here, much closer to us, but he flew off as we arrived. There it is.
Is anybody coming?
Well, it's going to fly off in a minute. This island certainly got everything. An international Buddhist retreat. Interesting. Nice one. Right, well, we're going into the Arran Fine Foods kitchen shop over this very narrow bridge. And it looks as if it's over there. We'll go and have a look. It looks as if they're open. It says open. And we'll take a look inside. There's some nice things in here. Bramble and pear, blackcurrant, rhubarb and ginger, raspberry, marmalade. I'd have one of those.
That's my favourites. Rhubarb and ginger.
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look. Scotch haggis, royal haggis, vegetarian haggis, with haggis, neeps and tatties there, look.
That's all mixed already for you.
Yeah. Even got a Buddha. I came out with a little barbecue recipe book, a pasta recipe book, and a jar of marmalade, fine cut. This is actually the factory where they make all the preserves and the jams and everything else. And that building there was the original factory, which was opened by Royal Highness the Princess of Wales on the 27th of September 1989. And that's where the shop was in the old mill building. We used to have more floors above it, but they've been demolished some time ago. And then across the road there is the newer factory where they produce all the preserves and the jams and marmalades and things like that, all done over there. And there's the new factory, the other side of the road. So if you're visiting Arran, just south of Lamlash, look out for this side road, or the road leading off the main road, and look out for the sign that says cars over this rather narrow bridge. It's not too bad, not too narrow really. It takes you over this little river. All very pleasant. Well, we're just about back at the campsite. When we get there, I shall upload episode 1, and then we've got the beautiful, lovely job of emptying the toilet. The time's come for the whiskey tasting, and Mandy's going to have this one. That's the one she chose, and I'm going to have this one. That's the one I chose. And the glasses have 2 little cubes of ice in. Nice, but it's very peaty.
I've got the Machrie Moor Fingles Cut single malt, unchill filtered, heavily peated Arran whisky. Now, oh, I can smell it. It's beautiful. Oh. It's almost like I can smell the earth. It's beautiful. Absolute nectar. Absolute nectar. This one, the Machrie Moor, is 46%. It's a strong one. This one, 55% whisky from the Lag Distillery. The scent isn't that great.
And on that note, as I gaze across the Firth of Clyde at Ailsa Craig, I'll fetch part 2 to an end. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and come back and see part 3. In the meantime, BFN, bye for now.